Okay, so we're back here with Nick for one of the words that's kind of abstract. The key word here is it's one of the most abstract things in when you think about human philosophy, which is time. So right off the bat, what is your association with time?
I think that my strongest association with time is a clock.
Yeah, simple enough,
A
right?
clock with hands.
Okay, yeah, so like an analog clock.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So what is your analog? If you were to imagine a classic analog clock, what would it look like to you?
Classic analog clock would probably be really the one that I dislike, probably the one that we had in school that was that big round clock with it's
Ah,
all
yeah, yeah.
black. It's
Yep.
like black and white.
Yeah, it's
And
black and white with did you have a red second
there's
hand?
a second hand.
Yeah, red
Yeah,
second hand. Yeah,
yeah.
I remember that one from school. My grandparents had a big old grandfather clock. They did the classic, like full on, at midnight, all of the big chiming and all of that.
Yeah.
And that one's really classic to me. So there's all sorts of options there. So that's a good association with time. There's obviously some other ones we could come up with, but that's pretty simple. It's pretty basic. So we might as well go with that. All right. So that's our ending point. That's our Tarantinoing of the scene. We've figured out the ending first. So now we just need to figure out how the ingredients are going to fit together to make that. So the pronunciation is sh. So that's going to be in the childhood home because there's no final there.
Yes.
And but we are going to be in the kitchen this time. But first, let's talk about your actor. Who is your SH actor?
My SH actor is Sammy Davis Jr. Remember? Luke gave me that one. So I said Sammy Davis Jr. before, and he said, you might want to pick a SH person, unless you just do Sammy Davis Jr. like Sean Connery said. We're going to do Sammy from now on.
Sure.
So Sammy's there. And,
Sammy Davis.
And he's a
sure.
great guy. I mean, pick someone. I don't even know if you can't do this all the time, but you pick somebody you like, man, those scenes become easy. I happen to love Shammy, so
there you
go. It's easy. I can picture him anywhere doing anything. He's just a great guy. No matter what happens to him, he's gonna be fine. He's gonna be great.
Yeah, absolutely, great. Yeah. I think when you pick your cast of actors, you essentially want to pick a whole panoply of the different types of people. You want to pick people you really dislike. You want to pick people that you like a lot. You want to pick some celebrities. You want to pick some personal friends. You want to pick like a teacher. You want to pick, you want to have all sorts of things because this is effectively an autobiography of your life as you go through this whole thing. It's pretty cool. All right, so we've got Sammy Davis Jr. in the kitchen of your childhood home. Now, we were in the bathroom of your childhood home before. What's the kitchen like?
This one for me is not in the kitchen. It's inside.
Inside the entrance. Yeah. So what's that like?
Inside the entrance is a kind of a cavernous space. It was like a big room. It was connected to a living room, so it's big. There's a lot of natural light from the outside, and there is a lot of wall space. So right next to the entrance of the door, there's a nice piece of wall, perfect for a big painting or something like that. So that's where I am.
All right, cool. And so we've got Sammy Davis Jr. there. We've got the sun again, and if I recall, your sun was the Japanese flag.
Yes, the flag of Japan is my sun in almost every scene where there is that component.
Great.
And it is hanging on the wall. The Japanese flag is hanging on the wall in that space that was reserved for this really cool painting that we had there when I was a kid. So it's actually in my scene, it's like on top of that canvas of that painting. So that painting's still there. It's underneath it.
Okay.
So I just put that Japanese flag right in
So you're connecting it to a specific thing that you have a fair bit of memory with there with that painting. That's great. Yeah, good. All right, awesome. So then we've got the second prop, which we said, okay, maybe you could make this a tape measure or a ruler because it means, of course, inch or measurement. But you actually came up with a different one. Can you explain to us how you came up with your prop?
I've always been imagining this as glue. This component is always glue for me. So it could be Elmer's glue, it could be rubber cement. But if you look at it, it kind of looks like, there's a drop there, and it almost looks like, it could be like some sort of applicator, like a small brush or dropper. So it's very easy to think of like, when you're doing projects with cardboard when you're a kid and you have to glue things together.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. And so that's, once again, there's two ways to pick props. You can pick it based on the meaning, which would be what you're doing if you do a tape measure. You'd say, okay, it means measurement, imagine a tape measure. Or you can look at it and say, what does that look like? We've actually had some students look at it and say, it looks kind of like a pair of tongs about to grab something, and so that drop is like a piece of food or something that the tongs are about to grab. Sure, if that's what you see, and if you see the glue, that works for that. So you've got the sun, the glue, Sammy Davis Jr. just inside the entrance, Shammy Davis Jr. I should say, just inside the entrance of your childhood home, and we need to get across this clock from your school. So
Right.
what happens?
So very easy because I've already got that Japanese flag there because of one of the components. So which happens to be a big round red circle on a white background.
Sure.
Okay, so you've got this big circle there, and the clock that I picture from school is that big, round clock. Right?
Yeah, sure.
So I've already got the outline of the clock, and what he's doing is he's gluing the hands onto the Japanese flag, which
Boom.
then will
Perfect.
We'll make this clock, because once you have the hour hand, the minute hand, second hand, you've got this clock, and then once he's done gluing them on, then he can tell time.
Yeah. So that's a great example of how when you're looking at the props in the scene, you ask yourself, well, what is the characteristic of this prop? How would it normally be used? If you have a sword in the scene, I guess you could use it to, dig up some earth or something, but that's what a shovel does, right? So think about what the sword does. You're probably going to, cut something with it. Same thing. You got glue. Well, glue on the hands to the clock. That's brilliant. I love it. So, easy enough there. And, so let's just keep it there for this one. That's a straightforward, easy, simple scene for sure time. And we'll see you in the next video.